So we are here today with Nicole.
You got it. You got
Go
it.
ahead. Got it.
It rhymes with baloney. It is.
Fannoney. I wanted to say baloney.
Hey. I threw you off. I'm sorry.
So, Nicole, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do for work.
I am your resourceful realtor. Um, I'm in Brockton, Mass, and I serve, Brockton and the surrounding areas. For the first, you know, majority of my adult life and career, I was a middle school Spanish teacher, and I quit teaching in 2021. Wanted to get involved in real estate. Really didn't know what I was doing. Thought first I was going to go down the avenue of becoming an investor. um, I took a woman's flipping class, and then I got involved with different networking groups. Main one was Alchemistnation, and started learning about different ways you can get involved in investing. And then at a networking event, I met one of the most influential people in my life, who is Jill Ripley, and she became my sponsor at EXP. And so I got my real estate license, decided to take that route first before jumping into becoming an investor. I just didn't feel like had enough skills, knowledge, or people in my tribe to succeed, or I just felt like it was more risky. And where I quit my job, stable income, where I was making, $90 to $100,000 a year. That's what I had my master's degree in, and now I was entering into something completely new. I wanted to get a handle on the market first and be like the guide for helping buyers and sellers and working with investors. So I started off with EXP as an individual agent. I was assigned a mentor, and I did that for about a year and a half, and I was doing okay. I had some rentals and I had a purchase, but it wasn't enough to sustain myself and the home that I own, and my daughter as a single mom. So I decided to join a team just about a year ago. And just like networking, that team, that collaboration, everything changed. And so now I'm doing really, really well. And it's a combination of elements that changed, but most of all, it's the people. So that's me. Help people buy, sell, rent, invest, and even find ways to get the real estate license. So I'm using my former teaching experience and building other groups to help people come aboard with EXP too.
Yeah, you've been doing such an excellent job, and I've watched this transition from the very beginning, when you first started,
Mm-hmm.
and you have just built something tremendous out of and we'll talk about this later, out of your career in such a short period of time as a real estate agent, that you've exceeded a lot of other real estate agents in that degree. Now, tell us a little bit about how you began networking as an agent,
Kind of
and
funny.
the most exciting part is where you are now.
Okay. So going back, very first thing, once I bought my house in 2013, I continued to get MLS listings, and I was drawn to it. But when I decided I wanted to leave teaching, that I needed something different in my life, I was drawn to it and didn't know what avenue I wanted to go in. So in that flipping class that I took, it was called Flip Stress by Debbie DeBerry. It was all women flipping class. It was good. But they said, get involved with networking. So this was like around COVID time, and there was a lot of virtual things happening, not a ton of in person. And so there was an in-person cigar event that was in Rhode Island. And I decided to go to that. I don't smoke cigars. It was inside. It was the winter. It was cold. There was about 15 guys, and I was completely out of my element. They were all great. I know them all very well now. And they accepted me. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't know really what purpose I was going there for. Just said networking, gotta go network, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? I don't even know what I'm going for. And then my second networking event was here in Brockton. That's where I met Jill. Okay. And then that led me to get my license. And I'm getting off course now. I forgot what the first question. That was like how I got involved in networking in general, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that's how I started. But those virtual meetings, I started going to Alchemist Nation. They had 52 principles of wealth. And so
Hmm.
during COVID, that gave FaceTime. And I also did a mentorship with them for like investing. But that was the same time I was getting my real estate license. And that's where
Hmm.
I met Kim Rodriguez in that group. And I remember Walter Amarello was telling us we had to get visible and get out of our comfort zone and go live. And
Hmm.
I didn't like posting pictures of myself. I did not like being on the video. I used to not go to my friends' parties because they would be doing lives. And I was so self-conscious that I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I would pick myself apart. And so I remember saying to Walter Amarello, I was like, we need to go live. Is it just like in this mentorship or is it for the whole wide world to see? And he was like, if you got the whole wide world watching you, I want you kind of problems. And so I
It's so
remember
funny.
um, going live, not knowing how to turn on, and then worse, I'm on there talking about who knows what, and I had no idea how to turn it off. It took me like 3 4 minutes to figure out how to turn off this stupid camera. But now it's funny because you talk about branding, that's kind of my signature. I never know which way the camera's going, and I embrace it, and I love it, and I am on video all the time. And that actually, that kind of started once. Well, it started with Alchemist Nation, but then Kim Rodriguez and I, we go to the Millionaire Summit for Alchemist Nation, which is a national networking event. I've been for the past 3 years now. On that first year, Kim and I went out to dinner. I said we need to start our own networking event, and so we separated from the group and we went and we just said, well, when are we going to do it? And at the time, Ryan McDermott had a networking event that wasn't quite taking off in Dedham, Mass. That was through Alchemist. So we kind of said, hey, why don't we take what you got started there? Let's get together. And we came up with the name. It was at dinner when we were in Orlando, Cocktail Connections in Real Estate. And Kim and I actually, we argued about the name. She's like, but I don't want people to think they have to drink and like, like, does it real estate? Will they know why they're coming? And I'm like, a cocktail. Now, I was a Spanish teacher. So I don't know if you know this, but salsa is used for any kind of sauce. It's a mixture of spices, right? So in my head, I was thinking, okay, like if you have gravy, like turkey gravy for Thanksgiving, it's gonna be salsa de pavo, right? You have,
Hmm.
you have salsa dancing, you have everything. And I was like, I'm thinking, what is our goal of a networking event? And it's to bring everybody together, right, in the real estate industry that can level up through those relationships. And so I'm like, it's a cocktail. It's a big O mixture of real estate. Do you know what I mean? And so that's kind of where it took
Love
off. And
that.
now it's hilarious because I see people taking spins on that name all over the place because they know how successful Kim and I's event has been. And I see like, I see it everywhere actually. So it's kind of cool.
I think I have seen one, a cocktails and connections that is not yours, in the
Hmm.
same general area that you host yours.
Yeah. I've seen variations. I haven't, well, I saw her cocktail connections in New York. It was like a women's investing group. I don't think that it was related to ours at all, but I have seen plays on the word cocktail, which was Kim and I's first, like, it wasn't an argument, but it was like, well, is that the best name? Is that going to be, really what attracts and pulls people in? And, speaking of that, that has been really our ground for success is just that attraction piece, and that's through
Mhm.
the energy. So her and I have a very dynamic energy together. We do things like she's got this love bomb game, right? And so like I
Yes,
took
I
out a
know.
card and and it was funny. Our reaction was exactly the same. So her and I getting together on this was seriously like the element that nobody else has because it was our chemistry that we were able to go in and with our personalities lift up everyone's energy. And then people there had such a great time that every time they come back, they bring more.
Yeah, it's a really impressive event. You guys have done an excellent job. One thing that you didn't mention is that it is one of the most well known networking events in the entire state of Massachusetts. I mean, people even come up from Rhode Island
Hmm.
regularly for this event. It's
Not only Rhode
outstanding what you
Island,
guys have
sometimes
built.
people are driving from Vermont, from New Hampshire. People have flown in, just to sponsor.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
it's what's the best thing about it is that people tell us all the time, you guys are the best event around. And so when I go around and I talk to people at the event, I say, why do you keep coming back? What is it like? What value do you get? And people are just talking about like, I'm not going to say his name because I forget his first name, but he was talking about he came for the first time and I was interviewing him the following month and he was like, well, I got a call a week later and then had a job to go do like change out the service for um electricity or whatever. And I was like, that's awesome. And so I hear about, not just finding deals for real estate, but how to amplify your audience for the products and services that you bring to the table to make everybody's life better. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
we have everybody, at those events, and heard nothing but really good things from people, and they keep coming back, because it's benefiting their business.
Right. And because you and Kim are so recognized for this, you guys have essentially become super connectors. And one example of that, in addition to the one that you just gave about the electrician, and this goes back to a statistic that I found on LinkedIn that 78% of new hires are actually hired through networking.
Mhm.
But I had reached out to you. I had a deal that was falling through, not to any fault of my own, um, but but due to a contractor, I reached out to you and I asked for a reliable contractor that knew about these FHA, um, these
Rehab loans
FHA
or
rehab loans.
203K,
Yeah,
right? Hmm.
yeah, the 203K. And I mean, George saved the deal, but you saved the deal too. Like just your ability to have that reach and be that resource.
Hmm. And that's happened over and over, time and time again. People will call me, they have my information because either the reminders I'm sending out for the events, or email, whatever, they'll reach out and say, hey, I met somebody at your event. I can't remember their name, but that this is what they did. And so when people come into our event, we have them drop a business card. And then what I will do before the next event is I create an assortment of the cards. So we have this big, long wall of boards. So when people come in, they can look at the boards and see what's the inventory of the room, who's coming to these events, who might I connect with tonight, And so a lot of times people will reach out to me and say, hey, anybody that does plumbing and central mass, or, do you know anybody that does 203K rehab loans? Actually, I think I do, and so I'm able to connect people that way. And as a new agent, that gave me like my little superpower at the beginning, because now I can add value to people. And, it gave me a role to play before I had my own success stories. You know what I mean? So you're like, oh yeah, Nicole, she knows everybody. And so I realized how important it was not only to be known, but to know as many people as you can, be able to create relationships with those people, and know the moment when to access it and refer out those people, because then it comes back to you in referrals. And you know what I mean? And people talking about the event and giving me a name. People will see those events that I don't even know are watching, and oh my God, you're in real estate, you're doing so good, you're good at those videos. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, the videos, I'm like, that was probably like one of the biggest barriers that I got over, was getting over my own ego and getting in front of the camera and being comfortable being myself. And like, that was a huge growth point for me. Now I actually enjoy them. Like, let's go live.
Right. But what you
That
know
was the
what
point.
I think that I'm gonna make an assumption here.
Mhm,
The mentor you had at the time that was telling you to get on that camera,
mhm.
he is a goofy man, and I think that he's just easy to get in front of. So, I think that was an excellent starting point. You
And you
know,
know,
he's
it
easy.
actually that I mean, that was a virtual thing, right? And he
Mhm.
did that. And Kim was documenting her daily routine at the gym, right? And I think that my first and I was like, she can do it. I can do it, right? And so, I'm cheering her on, and then um I did one and same thing, lots of heart, lots of support. Like, so that's another part of networking, is that when you see other people out there doing their thing and building, that you are cheering them on and you are giving them, the encouragement, and you're building like a community space, and like that energy, that's what it is. People say all the time, like, what makes yours so different? I'm like, it's that energy, it's the positivity that is in that space that makes ours different. You can't imitate it. You can't get that chemistry just by getting, and that's, the whole art of partnerships. And that's, I don't know, Kim and I were put in front of each other. We meshed, we came up with the idea, and we're just continue to build on it, offering
Yeah,
as much value as we can.
yeah, you guys have done an excellent job. And, so you said that, you mentioned you're sending out referrals. Referrals are coming in.
Mhm.
So, how have you seen that incoming referral source grow over the course of, your real estate career?
So, when I first started doing it, I have to say I was like, I didn't know the real true purpose, because when you start networking, those results don't happen right away. Okay. But if I look back and I look at all the deals that I have done, the majority of them came from networking, whether it be cocktail connections in real estate, or I watch a lot of Grant Cardone and some of his trainings. And he would say, leave the brown bag at home, meaning for lunch, and get out there. So as I was hustling and building my business, anything else that I did to keep a regular cash flow involved networking on a smaller scale. I drove Uber. I brought cards out. I had a magnet on my car. I had as many conversations a day that I could. I've closed now 2 deals in Uber from that. You know what I mean? A $5 ride turned into $6,000, which is kind of nice, right? I have, from the networking event, particularly, I have closed 2 sales from cocktail connections in real estate. One was a referral from Kim. So it was somebody that lived in Brockton, but it was her. She's coaching somebody in the investing side and in real estate, and she's extremely busy, so it made more sense for her to refer that out to me. And so that came directly from networking. And then I also closed a sale last winter on another. Actually, I did 3. So I also helped somebody buy a multifamily, Paula Miller. That was directly out of the
Oh, yeah.
networking. And it's hard to gauge too. Like, a lot of them started with Alchemist Nation. I can't take out Alchemist Nation. They got to start with the credit, because one of the other success tools is that all of these networking events are supporting one another. Do you know what I mean? There is an abundant mindset. And so we broke out of Alchemist Nation and started to do our own thing. But a lot of the people that were already in Alchemist Nation helped us get started and moving. And now we've got, a huge network, but still very much like our beginnings were because we were in that first group. And, I was also in another group called Am Spirit. It was a very small networking group. That was a paid membership one. And I didn't think it was doing, remember I said, it's like you're planting seeds, and sometimes you don't realize that those are doing anything or bringing you any type of results until months or even years later. And through Am Spirit, though, it was somebody from each industry. It was very small. We met monthly. I ended up stopping because I didn't see the value in that small group. But I ended up getting a listing from it about 6 months after I stopped. And right now I have a probate listing that I reached out to one of the guys in that Am Spirit network, and he went to his attorney's office and helped get walked through the whole probate process, was able to call somebody on the phone rather than just random attorneys, and so that was amazing. So me personally, the majority of my transactions have one way or another come from networking.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
So many, and you know what? What I see, and I see it with my own friends, and I just don't understand it. You join these additional real estate networking groups, but it's all real estate agents.
Mhm.
What are you going to get other from somebody who works in your region as your competition other than a couple laughs with the cocktail? I mean, there's
Yes and
there's
no,
no
because you
there's
have to
very little referral business going there.
we've got a lot of realtors at Cocktail Connections in real estate, right? You can look at it another way. You can also look at that as an attraction place. I mean, with EXP, we've got revenue share, so there are agents that are switching over when they see, I mean, because it's not an EXP event, but it's EXP heavy. Do you know what I mean? Because even though EXP is a cloud brokerage, we do a lot of these things, and people show up for one another. So Kim and I are both part of EXP. So that in a way it could also give us results there, you know?
I didn't even think to say this. So EXP has a very different culture than many traditional brokerages. They're
Mm-hmm.
very inclusive. That's actually how I started networking in general was when I started with EXP.
And do you remember
I would
my first attempt at building a networking event that you came to?
Yes, I was very
Leverage your
excited
lunch
for it.
hour. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, when I say real estate agents, I'm talking about the traditional and boutique firms or, the Keller Williams. I'm not talking about, in EXP, you're either sitting at a desk, very isolated in your house, or you're out and about. It's just the culture. Networking is the culture in EXP, and they don't even push that. It's just natural for
Right.
Massachusetts anyway. It's just
Yeah.
a natural it's just in the natural culture within
And the best out
Massachusetts
of
anyway for
21st
EXP.
century. Exactly. It's a merging of all the technology benefits that they have and then the people, so
Mm.
those are tools that you can use to connect one another, but there really is like that agent obsession kind of thing, like, you agents helping other agents. So that's great. But at our event, Cocktail Connections and Real Estate, like we're actually doing a, a special event next week on Monday. It's Cocktail Connections and Real Estate. We're doing it at Two Designing Women. So there's all these
Mhm.
partnerships, and so they're designers, stagers, they are suppliers to all the people that are attending, for whether you're furnishing a house, whether you're doing a flip and you need flooring, or whatever it is, they can design your whole home, so
Right.
you're finding ways to come together. And like I really think with this networking event that Kim and I have, I think it's going to continue to grow into multiple uh avenues, and we're excited for that too.
Yes, that's great. I did see that, and I did purchase my ticket.
Mhm.
Um, yes, but,
Monday.
yes. So, yes. So, I think the way that yours, and a lot of the EXP, the events that EXP agents go to differ in the way, that say business to business referral groups like BNI are,
Mhm.
where there's people in the entire client sphere there. So you can build a team of other professionals around your client at those events,
Mhm.
which is excellent. And that's illustrated in the stories we just told about how you gave referrals to you know contractors
Mhm.
and how people got new positions and were able to obtain new side jobs and stuff like that. It's excellent. And I think, it just, I mean, it speaks to where you are now in your professional life.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we went through stages where, at first we thought because all the other ones have speakers, right? And oh, we got to educate. But then we realized we would bring people in, and if it got too heavy of talking, it wasn't the right venue for that. People were there to network and they were already getting a lot out of it. So, in addition to these boards that we keep, so people can come in and say who might be here, we do you can tell I was a middle school teacher because it's like a tri board. And so, again, a lot of the idea of attraction, I think of Mike Shine, and I think of, even that mentorship that I did with, in Walter's group is vision boards and going there with a purpose, right? So helping people understand, because sometimes it got overwhelming with how many people. And I noticed when I first started, so I didn't really know, like, was this doing anything for me? Like, it took a while, you know what I mean? But then as I got better at networking and saying, yeah, that stuff, we pull up with a purpose. That's Scott Bascom's coined term. When you go in there, we started doing the selfies and follow up. You know what I mean? Like, I remember Tom
Mhm.
Trong, you were at that one. And Tom Trong, I remember he called on you. He's like, the fortune is in the,
And
he
I
did the same thing that
blinked.
day.
I was like, oh,
Then the
and
FU,
I
right?
was I was so thankful when he posted that on LinkedIn that he like took that teeny tiny section out.
But it's true. So, part of our event is getting people that come in and telling them to be intentional about who they want to meet. So, with the name tags, well, don't just put your name. What do you do? Let people see it visually. And then on the vision board, we have people if they bring deals. And so I think that sets our thing about too, is that, we have spotlight speakers, like, we'll have our sponsors. So our main sponsor uh, is Mario Kula with QS Private Lending. And so we always, let him speak to everybody there to let them know how he can help them with their investment projects and financing and all the different programs he has. But then we also open it up, instead of doing like a lecture style education in this huge room with 100 to 200 people, we have people share deals, people share wins. And it's amazing, so and people I think really appreciate that. So we keep it down to like maybe 30 minutes of talking, and it's different
Mm.
things, and it's mostly people in the room. Sometimes we'll do an inventory. How many realtors are here? Okay. How many brokerages are here? Who is a contractor? Okay. How many plumbers? How many electricians? Do we have any siding people? Do we have any foundation people? Do we have home inspectors? Do we have designers? Do we have, and people will raise their hand, where's the cash buyers? Are there any wholesalers there? You guys need to connect. So we are very active in connecting people live at the event and teaching them how to network, because it is a skill
Mm.
with
I
intention.
think that's great. I think that's excellent with such a large volume of people,
Mm-hmm. It
is
took a while. It
pointing
took a
them
while to
out
figure
so
out.
everybody could see them.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the very first one that we had, we didn't have a plan. We said, let's just go and see who shows up. And we had probably like 20 or 30 people. The first one was at Bar Louie, I think. They were all in Patriot Place, but it wasn't a great venue because we couldn't hear, and it wasn't like, the space matters where if you're gonna host an event, the space that you choose does matter. Some places charge you a large amount to use it, and then some people don't, so
Mhm.
we then the second time we went, we were at CBS Scene, and that again, we didn't it was too restricted. So like the very first event I think was like 25 to 40 people, somewhere around there. And then the second event probably was closer to 30, 40, but we didn't have the right space. So then I took some time and I went out and I was like sending Kim pictures. I'm like, maybe this place, maybe, you know what I mean? And we decided on Six String Grill and Stage, which has been phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? But for our type of event, we do have the microphone, but we've tried presentations and they haven't worked. And then you feel bad because you're hushing people, and then you really see the teacher come in. I'm like, you're gonna get detention. Shh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, all right, you know what? we need to reevaluate, why are people coming here? And it's not for this, it's not the right setting. So then we shifted a little bit and just said, no, we'll do our group photo, right? And that group photo is huge because everybody can see just how many people, and it's really fun to look over the months, like when we started and how it just like really just exploded. And you can even see in the pictures, just like the energy, you know what I mean? And everybody's taking, people post their selfies to our Cocktail Connections and Real Estate page. People
Mhm.
share with other people, and they spread this like energy that's like wildfire, and that's been our blessing.
Wow. Yeah, no, I mean, and we're, people that attend it are so fortunate to have it.
Yes.
So you're providing all of the benefits of an actual, that a networking event should have.
Hmm.
But then you're the only one like it around. So we're so like happy to
And I
have you.
think and a lot of that comes with going against kind of exactly what they teach you, right? So, if you have a plan and you stick to it rigidly, we would have never gotten to this type of growth. Do you know what I mean? I think Kim and I are both pretty spiritual in the sense of like energy. Do you know what I mean? And her
Mm.
and I will talk in really on the same kind of level, and we read each other. Do you know what I mean? So it's really important who you're gonna post it with, and trying to do it by yourself is going to be a lot harder than doing it like how we did. Do you know what I mean? So starting with some type of a base, you know what I mean, and then and adding to it. But just anything in real estate, it's not a, what's it called, solo sport. It's team sport,
Mhm.
and so, and you got to learn how to think abundantly and not close-minded, where it's like, oh no, I don't want to go to that one. That, I how am I going to stand out? There's other people there, like, like that do the same thing as me. Well, you know what? Those people might have a deal that you might just be able to transact on together. You know what I mean? And or the next thing you know is you have a buyer, and that other agent that you had a half an hour conversation with last networking event is on the other side. So those things are very powerful too. It's not always competition, it's about collaboration. So
Right, right. Well, I want to thank you for being here with us today. Um,
yeah,